These are my top comic picks for all of December 2023. It is quite a long one, so settle in as we journey through the last month of new comic book days for the year. And without further ado, let's get started. And kicking things off for the first week of December 6th, 2023, is X-Men number 29. This is the first team appearance of Dr. Doom's Team of Mutants. Next up is The Sentry number 1. And this one is going to be a 4-issue limited series that may or may not introduce a new Sentry. But apparently it's from various people who are manifesting the dead hero's powers. And if any of you know what happened to the Sentry in King in Black, that's probably what they're referencing here as far as him being dead. And I remember reading that and I just went, whoa, what was that? Next up is Thunderbolts number 1. And this one, Bucky Barnes, aka The Revolution, goes on to lead a new Thunderbolts team. But after that is Shazam in the new Dawn of DC. This is Shazam number 6, the first appearance of Shazam-Mite, who is the cousin of Bat-Mite. Now, I did want to let you know that there was, I think, Nightwing 87 or 88, I think it was 87, had the first appearance of Nightmite, and that did pretty well in the secondary market. But this is Shazam, and I don't think he's as big of a character as Nightwing, so I don't know if it'll do as well, or just the market's completely different now than it was then, so it might not do anything at all. But just something to note that the Mite did do decently when it was a Nightmite. Next up, as far as spec goes, is Titans Beast World Tour Metropolis number 1. And this one is where Power Girl becomes Flamebird, which you can see on this cover here. And next up is just, a personal pick of mine, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin reissue number 5. And as I say each time I talk about this, I saw something say that these are being re-released as comic book size. Again, I haven't seen them in real life in the reprint, so if someone out there in the comments knows if these are just reprints or if they do actually get reprinted in comic book size, if you let me know, that would be awesome. But let's move along, and we have the first ratio of the list, and that is the 1/100 Disney 100 X-Men number 1 black and white homage variant on the cover of The Amazing Spider-Man number 39. After that, there's another cover by for me. This is Star Wars number 41, the John Tyler Christopher action figure variant, with Qui-Gon Jinn on the cover with his sweet Tatooine poncho. Next, I don't know how I feel about this one. It's either gonna bomb or it could be one of those sneaky ones that does weirdly well. The Avengers number 8 1/100 Insignia Virgin variant. One thing you do have to be careful for is with it being all mostly black is any type of color break is going to be super easy to see. It's going to stand out right away. So it'll be really hard to get a higher grade quality raw book. So just something to keep an eye out for. Next up is, I love these action figure variants. So it's going to be Disney Villains Cruella de Vil number 1. And there's no real spec value on it. I just like these action figure variants, and I think this one's pretty cool. Next up is one of my favorites to put on any list, really, and it's a second printing, 1/25, of the Sensational She-Hulk number 1. I know there's not much to She-Hulk or whatever, but this is a number one. It is a second printing, and it is a 1 for 25. So just that alone, it deserves to be on the list. Speaking of second printings, we have the spine-tingling Spiderman number 1, and this is the first appearance of the Sleep Stealer, but this is the second print, and it looks like it might be a sideways cover, so that's pretty cool. Next up is actually going to be a few covers from the same book in a row, and these are all second prints, but it's Something's Killing the Children, pen and ink number 1. So there's a foil variant, again second print. This is the second print cover A, and then the second print cover B, Spot UV design variant, which could be pretty cool. Next up, we have a couple facsimiles, and we have Batman number 404, and this one is the origin of Batman. We got the classic story of Year 1, Part 1, Batman's parents being shot outside the theater, and Batman becomes Batman. Next up, we have Batman number 5 facsimile, and I don't know how much value this one really is going to have, but it's obviously a number 5 of the first print would be insanely expensive just because of how old it would be. But as far as the reprint goes, because of the value of this, it's a $7 book, and the special thing about this book is that it's as far as the Batmobile goes, it's the Golden Age Batmobile that has the Bathead design. So I don't think there's really much more to it than that. So if you're a diehard Batman fan, or you just think it would be really cool to own, this book with this cover, $7 might be worth it for you. For me personally, it's not, but to each their own, right? And next up is another facsimile, Adventure Comics number 260, and this one is actually the first appearance of, or not the first appearance, I'm sorry, it is the origin of Aquaman in the Silver Age. And then lastly, for this week of December 6th, 5th for DC, 2023, we're looking at Star Wars The High Republic Adventures number 1. And there's not really much spec out there currently about this book, but it is a number 1, and it's kicking off Phase 3 of the Star Wars High Republic Adventures. It is written by Dark Horse, so it's a little bit better than the Marvel stuff. So I think if you like High Republic, you're probably going to be a little bit more excited for this one coming from Dark Horse. And that's my list for comic book releases coming out the first week of December. December 5th for DC and anything from Lunar, and December 6th from pretty much everybody else. And moving on to the second week of December, we have December 13th, 2023, and for DC Lunar, that's going to be the day before, December 12th, 2023. But right here we have The Punisher number 2. This is the new run with the new Punisher, and it's the first appearance of the Offer, who is a crime lord. And I don't know if that's him on the cover. Next up, we have Wesley Dodds, the Sandman number 3. And there's a first appearance in here of a character called The Fog. Next up, we do have Captain America number 4, and this is a possible first appearance of a character called the Emissary. So there was a previous character named the Emissary, and they were introduced in All Out Avengers, but it's likely this creator is going to create a new villain. And next up, we have Batman Gargoyle of Gotham number 2. And this one is the first appearance of Moth-Er and the first appearance of Virgin. So you got a double key right here. After that, we have Daredevil Gang War number 1. And this is the first appearance of the Heat, which is just a gang in the Gang War. So I'm not surprised. Following that, we have Moon Knight number 30, and this one is the final issue and the conclusion of the Death of Moon Knight arc, so we're probably going to get a first appearance of a new Moon Knight. And this is probably one of my picks of the week, and it's Spider-Gwen Smash number 1, but not this particular cover. It is this cover right here, the John Tyler Christopher Negative Space variant. This is freaking sweet. And this also, the solicitation, it promises new versions of favorite characters. So you're going to get some first appearances in here, and this beautiful, beautiful John Tyler Christopher variant. Next up, we have Star Wars Insider number 223, and it's just a newsstand edition. You know how I feel about anything with a photo on it. If you happen to catch a Natalie Portman at a con or anything like that, who knows? She could end up being in flashback stuff coming up on Disney Plus series and things like that. So then they might have her in Comic-Con or things like that, and then this would be an awesome book to get her to get signed. Next up, it's been a while since I have touched anything Ice Cream Man, but this cover just really, I don't know, seemed a little different to me. This is an homage to the, I love how I can hear Shel Silverstein is the author. But I cannot remember where the sidewalk ends. Is that what it's called? It says the end of the sidewalk, so it's probably where the sidewalk ends. A book about things ending. I don't know what this really is. So it says mini-series finale. Book. So this looks like it is a book of children's poems that are supposed to be really dark. So maybe the terminal issue of a bunch of terminal issues. The end is here. We hope you enjoy our swan songs. That's why it's called Swan Songs. And it is issue 6. And I remember that was kind of like a spin-off of Ice Cream Man, homage, something. But that number 6 one really gutted me. That was rough. So if this is anything like that, we're in for a treat here. This is the cover C 1 for 50 Morazzo variant. Moving on. Okay, so this one is a 1 for 25 spoiler variant. It is not out yet, but it is Star Wars The High Republic Shadows of Starlight number 3. But it says here, learn who survived the fall of Starlight. So I'm guessing this spoiler variant is going to be of who survived the Starlight. The fall of the Starlight. So I don't know if they're going to somehow be reborn into a new character, or if this is even worth it. It says spoiler variant, not reveal variant. So sometimes spoiler is more like what happens, as opposed to like the Ms. Marvel death, as opposed to a reveal. But I think Spider Boys said spoiler variant, so I don't know. Well, nothing in the solicitation hints at a new character, so we'll see. Next up is a facsimile, and this is Batman 405. And this is Year 1, Part 2. In the previous week, we had 404, and that one had the Year 1, Part 1, and that was the origin of, Batman with Bruce Wayne's parents dying and all that. But this is the first appearance of Sarah Essen, a Gotham police officer. It is also the first appearance of Carmine Falcone, the head of the organized crime family. And it is another first appearance, so a third first appearance of Stanley Merkel. He's first introduced in The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, but this is the first appearance in the mainstream universe. I guess canon timeline, if you want to say it that way, in modern sort of terminology. And next up, we got a bunch of second printings here. I think from here on out, it might even be all second printings. But we have the John Tyler Christopher Negative Space variant of Spider-Boy number 1. and the difference is the webbing on the back and signer. I know you said in the FOC for this one that you liked this cover, so here you go. You can another look at it. And Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #1, the second print, and this is actually the first appearance of Krytoon. There is I don't think there is a cover that has the character on it, but here we do have the second print. After that, we have a Daredevil #2. There is no real first appearance key value to it, but it is a second print, 1 for 25, so as always, it gets on the list. Next up, I think this might be the second to last, is the Captain Marvel #1. This is the second print, the John Tyler Christopher, and this one has 2 first appearances. The first appearance of the Omen, a Herald of the Undone, and the first appearance of Yuna Yang, who is a thief in possession of the Nega Bands. And I'm wondering, are the Nega Bands what Ms. Marvel has from the Disney Plus show? Is that what those are? Anyway, so let's move on to still Captain Marvel #1, but the 1 for 25 second print. It looks like she may have the bands there. I'm looking, it looks like she's wearing the same bands on the regular second print, so I don't know what makes this 1 for 25 special other than maybe the scarcity of it, because I doubt people are buying a lot of a second print of a Captain Marvel book, so the 1 for 25 might be worth a lot, but or not worth a lot, it might be really scarce. I want to make that clear. I did not mean worth a lot, I meant really scarce. So the last one is Superior Spider-Man Returns #1. This is the second print, and this is the first appearance of Supernova, whom you can see here on the second print. It is the villain with the power of a living star. Now, there are no other covers with this villain on here, so this second print might actually be worth specking on, because this is actually the first cover appearance of this character, and it's a second printing. But the last one we have, unfortunately, that character is not on the cover, so I don't think it would be worth way more, I think, if the character was on the cover. I don't know what Ken Lashley was thinking, but this is that same book, second print, 1 for 25. And to be honest, I think this one the regular second print could end up having more value than the 1 for 25. But that's my list for the second week of December, December 13th, 2023. And again, if you want any of those DC books or anything from Lunar, you're going to want to go ahead and note that those come out December 12th, 2023. And here we are with the third week in December, the second to last week of the month, and the whole entire year of 2023. Crazy, right? First up, we have Batman #406, Facsimile Edition. This one is Year 1, Part 3. This is where Catwoman makes her debut in this, run series. And one thing I wanted to mention is that recently it had a new high. And this is the facsimile. I'm talking about the original. So a 9.8 direct edition sold for $125, and a Canadian price variant 9.8 sold for $352. So it looks, I know those are two different books, but those are just like for reference. But yeah, so this is the facsimile edition of this book, and it is running only $3.99, which is actually really good for a DC facsimile. Most DC books nowadays are at least $4.99, and then you have the cardstock, which makes it $5.99 or $6.99. So I think this is actually a pretty good one. So you'll see in this, the whole month, it looks like each week they're releasing a new chapter or a new year part. This is week 3, so they're releasing part 3. Next week, they're going to release part 4. So, anyways, let's just move on to The Joker, Harley Quinn Uncovered number 1. And this one is basically just a reprint of all of a bunch of really cool covers. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is. It says there's some secret surprises, so there could be some new covers or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I was even trying to look online, and not many people seem to actually know exactly what it was. But I do know that I'm pretty sure this is an Alex Ross cover that I think is amazing. And I don't know. So it's really up to you if you think this is something that you're interested in checking out. Maybe you can, maybe your LCS will let you open it and take a look to even see what it is, honestly. But yeah, the next one up is Amazing Spider-Man number 40. This is a twofer right here. Neither of which is super special. But here's the J. Scott Campbell Ski Chalet variant for the cover. You'll see next week's Spider-Woman number 2 is probably the cover of the month for me. But this one is an okay one as well. But it says in the solicitation, you won't believe your eyes reading the last page on this issue. So beyond this cover, I wanted to mention it because of that. A key event could happen, making this a key issue. After that, we have Green Lantern War Journal number 4, and this one is the debut of new Green Lantern ring and armor. So it's John Stewart, first of all, who is my Green Lantern that I grew up with, so I'm really excited. But there's also a new ring and new armor, so I am super excited. I haven't been checking out War Journal number 4. I think it's pretty interesting they decided to do War Journal, because Marvel had that whole run of Punisher War Journal, and now they're doing Green Lantern War Journal. Not quite sure what that is as far as the Green Lantern run goes. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. But let's move on to more DC. Also, a reminder that these DC books, you're going to want to make sure you check, or you let your LCS know that you want it before the Tuesday, December 19th. All the other books that aren't from Lunar and DC are going to be released on December 20th, the Wednesday. So, Superman number 9 is actually the debut of another armor. It's a debut of Superman armor that's actually created by Lex Luthor, which I think is actually pretty cool. But next we have Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 39, and it's the first appearance of the Acquisitor. Not Inquisitor, but Acquisitor. So, it's a first appearance. Don't know how great of a key it's going to be, how much value it's going to have, but I think it'd be worth it. If you're interested in Dr. Aphra spec and Star Wars spec, I'm kind of past it at this point, but I thought I'd let you know. It does have a cover price of $4.99, $5, so that's kind of steep to me, especially for only 28 pages. That's kind of a lot. All right. Next up is probably my book of the month, and that is probably the biggest book coming out, in the foreseeable future, and that is Star Wars Revelations number 1. And this one talks about, from the High Republic to the original trilogy. It's got characters like Keith Trennis, Thrawn, Darth Vader, Mace Windu, Jabba the Hutt. You can see them all on here. It has stories and stuff about what's going to be coming up. It introduces new characters, new twists, new turns across all different kinds of stories. I would be a lot more excited if it was a Dark Horse book and it was Dark Horse people writing it. With Marvel, it's really hit or miss, mostly miss, but some hits. But yeah, you're gonna have Star Wars, maybe even Chewie and Han and Chewie, High Republic, Darth Vader. So you're gonna have a lot of good stuff. I wonder if you're even gonna have bounty hunters with, related to Jabba the Hutt. So I think a lot of good stuff could come from this Star Wars Revelations book, and it says it kind of sets up what's going to be coming out in 2024. So that's pretty exciting. Next up, we only got 3 left, is the original X-Men #1, and this is the OG5 on an all-new adventure. You got Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Beast, Iceman, and Angel. And it's the first group of X-Men that bear the name, and they're going to have all new adventures. So it's kind of cool. It's not a facsimile, it's not reprinting. It's almost like what they did in Legends, where they had the 90s, but so what they did with Legends was they took like 90s stories and then built upon, almost did like epilogues of it. This is all new stories from it. So I think that's pretty cool. I did want to go ahead and show you this homage from John Romita Jr. And it is just, it's an homage to the X-Men #1. So I think, given this is, the original X-Men, and then you have this cover. Normally I'm not into homages and stuff like that, but this one is super fitting, and I think, not just for spec value per se, but I just think it'd be neat, I guess, to have this cover for this book. Second to last, we have Uncanny Avengers #5, and this one is the Captain Krakoa identity is revealed. That's basically it. And I don't, honestly, it almost kind of looks like the Sentry, maybe? I don't know. But, yeah, I haven't been reading the story, so I have no idea even who, I don't even have an idea of who it could be. But, it's just, that's the key. So let's get into my last book for this week, and it's Hallows Eve, The Big Night #1. Here is the second print, and it's kind of cool. It looks like she's like Captain America or whatever. And then after that, we have the second print, 1/25 action figure variant. And the action figure variant looks really cool. It almost looks like it's like a McFarlane toy variant or something like that. But let me see, was this John Tyler Christopher? It doesn't say. I mean, one could assume, but it doesn't seem like it's a John Tyler Christopher. So I think it's really cool, and it's a second print, and it's a 1/25. Okay, so her powers are actually really cool, and she can, like, I guess, wear the face of anyone, and then I think maybe it gives her the powers of that person. So I guess there's some key issues where, it's her first appearance as, like, her being certain characters, things like that. So there might be some minor key value to this. But, again, it is a second print, 1/25. I don't know how many people got the first print, so who knows how many people are going to get the second print, let alone enough of the second print to warrant a 1/25, thus making this pretty rare, in my opinion, thus driving up the price. So that's the last book I have for this week. So let's get on to the last week of December, and the last week of the entire year, December 27th. And the final week of the year, the final week of December, we have December 27th, 2023. Kicking things off is actually going to be a book coming out on December 26th, because we all know DC comes out the day before, and it is The Flash, #4. And this is going to be the first appearance of the Resident, an entity in the gallery. Next up, we have Timeless, #1. And I actually like this one because it says it's a debut of 2 new Marvel icons. And it's a one-shot that actually teases the slate of stories throughout 2024. So, it has the Moon Knight, the Unending, that has arisen, and Power Man, who I'm guessing is a new character, Marvel Universe's final living superhero, which I guess is pretty cool. And after that, we have Batman 407, and this one is Year 1, Part 4. It's actually the first appearance of James Gordon Jr., the infant son of Commissioner Gordon. So if you like those older books and older stories, here you go. And I think this is actually the conclusion of that facsimile edition run. And after that, we have the facsimile of Wolverine #1, which is, I mean, it's a classic cover, classic issue, classic book, and it actually became the book to get when Hulk 180 and Hulk 181 both got out of reach. A lot of people were like, okay, well, let me go get that Wolverine #1. And then so many people were going for that. Now this one is almost out of reach. So it'll be pretty cool to get a facsimile of this one. It's only $4.99. I probably will get it, but it's up to you if you want to get yours. Next, following that, is actually another facsimile of the new Teen Titans, and it actually has a couple of key appearances. It's the first appearance of Grant Wilson, aka Ravager, who is Deathstroke's son, but he's not in the costume. And then, like, everyone's second appearance, second team appearance, and the origin of the new Teen Titans. So it's going to be the second appearance of Beast Boy, of Starfire, Cyborg, and Raven, for those characters. But it's the second appearance of the team made up of Beast Boy, Cyborg, Kid Flash, Raven, Robin, Starfire, and Wonder Girl. I love the Teen Titans, honestly. I think they're so underrated. And I don't think that Max did a very good job with the show. I think it could have been much better. Anyway, following that, we have Giant Size Superstars #1. And this one is the Battle of the Hulk versus the Thing. And that's basically it. I know that we all now know that Hulk would wipe the floor with the Thing, but back then it was definitely who would win between the Hulk and the Thing. So I think it was more like when Hulk was kind of like the Lou Ferrigno type Hulk, where he just was like an extremely strong being, and that's kind of what the Thing was. And then now he over the years morphed into, you know, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets, the harder he is to kill, things like that. Kind of like Superman, he started off jumping, you know, skyscrapers in a single bound to eventually he could fly. So if you want like these old school books, this one's actually not bad considering it's a giant size. 48 pages, $7. Usually if you're paying $5 for 32 pages, so you're getting about 50% more pages for $2 more, so for less than 50% of the cost of the 32. So there you go. Alright, and the final book, the final one that I want to mention for this entire year, this entire month, is going to be Spider-Woman #2, the 1/100 David Nakayama Ski Chalet Virgin variant. I think with it being a 1/100 on a Spider-Woman book is going to add some scarcity to it, because I don't think people are going to be buying that many, where there's going to be that many 1/100s, and it's going to be a very sought after book, I think, relative to the other Ski Chalet variants. So if you can find it for, you know, around the ratio, I think, I'm just guessing, again, I could be wrong, don't take my word for it, but I think this one could be one that definitely sells for more than that $100 1/100, you know, price point. So yeah, that's my final book of the year, Spider-Woman #2, the 1/100 Nakayama Ski Chalet Virgin variant. Do it for me on my top comic picks for all of December 2023, the last month of the year, all of the final new comic book days. And with all that out of the way, I did want to remind you I am doing my 1K subscriber giveaway still. Hopefully this video gets me some more traction. It is a nice, you know, longer video. Hopefully people enjoy it. And also, don't forget I have my PayPal and my Venmo in the description of the video. If you want to support the channel, that would be great. And if you leave a message with your support, I will go ahead and read it in the next video. And I'll leave a couple videos here, maybe a couple shorts that I've done. I kind of want to shift a little bit into gaming, but you know what, this video is long enough. I'll let you guys get out of here. Thanks again, as always, for watching this video, especially those of you who made it this far. And until next time, bye.